My name's Carlina, and when I was 24 my family cut me off completely, because I bought myself a van to live in instead of paying for my brother's master's degree. 3 days later, my mom told me flat out, "Don't call yourself our daughter." And then Roger, my brother, came knocking at my van door. What happened next left me stunned, and calling the cops was my only option. If you've ever felt the sting of being betrayed by the very people who were supposed to protect you, tell me where you're watching from. At the time, I thought I was doing everything right. I had a steady job as a billing assistant, I was grinding through night classes in web design, and I lived in a cramped 300-square-foot studio where the ceiling fan clicked ominously like the soundtrack of a horror movie before the power cuts. I barely slept, but I had a plan. A quiet, stubborn plan. No confetti, no balloons, just me, saving dollar by dollar, dreaming of one day breaking free from rent traps and finally owning something of my own. For 3 years, I pinched every penny. Skipped vacations. Clipped coupons. Said no to everything fun. I managed to stash away $19,000. My parents knew. Roger knew too. The night I told them was a regular Sunday dinner. Dad reheated some freezer-burned casserole, Mom was working on her second bottle of Riesling, and Roger, already tipsy, was going on about how real leadership begins in middle management as if he was handing down divine wisdom. Meanwhile, in my head, I rehearsed one simple sentence: I bought a van. I bought a van. When Dad finally asked if anything new was going on with me, I took a breath and said it. I bought something. Mom barely looked up. Oh. What? A van. Silence. Sharp and instant. Roger cocked his eyebrow. Like, for camping? No, I said. To live in. Dad's face tightened. How much? 19,000. Basically all of my savings. Mom laughed out loud. You're joking. I'm not. I've been looking for a while. It's in good shape and I'm converting it. Roger scoffed. So you blew 19 grand just to be homeless? It's not that, I tried to explain. I'll save money on rent while I finish school. Dad's frown deepened. And you didn't think to talk to us first? It's my money. Mom leaned back, shaking her head. We thought you were saving for something real. This is real, I shot back. Roger slammed his glass down. Meanwhile, I'm scraping for grad school tuition. You could have helped me instead. I didn't know I was legally required to bankroll your resume, I snapped. That's not what he means, Mom cut in. In this family, we've always supported each other. Funny, I said, I don't remember it ever going both ways. Dad's voice sharpened. Don't start. I bit my tongue, but Roger smirked. If you didn't want to be part of the team, you could have just said so. I don't think me living cheap is some kind of betrayal, I muttered. Mom slammed her glass down. It's not just a bad decision, Carlina. You embarrassed us. What are people supposed to think, that we can't even keep our daughter off the street? It's a van, not a sidewalk, I said. That's not the point. Roger swirled his wine like he was in a movie. This makes me look bad, too. Do you know how tight the circles are in finance? Wow, I whispered. So this isn't even about me at all, is it? Dad locked eyes with me. You made your bed. I made a bed platform, I muttered. With storage underneath. No one laughed. Mom's voice was low, final. We're disappointed. You could have been part of something bigger. Instead, you chose this. I'm trying, I whispered. Roger stood up. We all make sacrifices, Carlina. Maybe it's time you learned that. And then Mom said it. Not even looking at me. Just flat, careless words that sliced clean through. If you want to be homeless in a van, then don't call yourself our daughter. The silence that followed lasted seconds, but it felt like a lifetime. I nodded. Right. That's all I said. No sarcasm, no speech. Just right. I picked up my coat. Nobody stopped me. Nobody followed. The door shut behind me, and that was it. I don't remember the drive back. Just that I ended up sitting in the van, mattress leaning against the wall, curtains sagging half-hung, cold metal under me. I didn't cry. I wasn't angry. Just tired. Weirdly, my brain went back to when I was 10, taping paper stars to my ceiling while my parents helped me string fairy lights. I remember thinking, wow, they really love me. That memory has been carrying more weight than it should for years. I thought being disowned would be the worst part. Turns out, it was only the beginning. I sat there in the dark replaying Mom's words, if you want to be homeless and live in a van, then don't call yourself our daughter. She'd said it like she was reading the weather. Effortless. Casual. And yet, it hollowed me out. The worst part? I didn't see it coming. I really thought, stupidly, that maybe they'd be a little surprised, maybe unsettled, but still proud of me in their own way. I wasn't asking for a parade. Just recognition that I'd worked, that I'd saved, that I was building something. But instead, they erased me. And honestly, if it had just been that dinner, I might have brushed it off. Pretended it was a bad night. But deep down, I knew this wasn't random. Roger has always been the investment. The family legacy. 6 years older. Planned. Groomed. Funded. While I was the afterthought. The unplanned one. They paid for his dream school, his tutors, his prep classes. Mom called it a family effort. Which meant teenage me worked part-time and handed over half my paycheck for his textbooks and train fare. When I once asked about saving for my own future, Dad told me. You'll have options once Roger's established. He'll take care of you. But that night at dinner, it became painfully clear. I was never part of the family investment. I was the expense they'd written off. He never did. He still hasn't. Every time I tried to bring it up, I got the same line, be patient, Carlina. He's under so much pressure. You'll get your turn. My turn turned into a single community college class I paid for in monthly installments. No laptop, just a dusty Craigslist desktop that wheezed every time I opened Word. When I asked for even a little help with tuition, Mom sighed like it was a weather report, bad timing. We just helped Roger with a down payment. We'll circle back to you. That's been the story my whole life. Everything framed as a family effort. If we all pitched in for Roger now, we'd all benefit later. But later became a ghost, something they dangled just to shut me up. And I believed it. For years. I honestly thought helping him was helping me. That we were on the same team. That one day they'd turn around and say, hey Carlina, it's your turn now. But that moment never came. When I moved into my shoebox studio, nobody helped me haul boxes or cover the deposit. Mom wrinkled her nose at the place and muttered, well, you chose this. Yeah. I did. Because what else was ever on the table? Roger moved into a luxury condo with a gym. I got a folding chair from the garage and a passive-aggressive text from Dad, it builds character to furnish your own space. And still, I kept hoping. That quiet, desperate hope that maybe one day they'd see me. You don't even notice it at first, but it softens you. Makes you question yourself. And they used that softness at every dinner table, every group chat. We're all in this together. Except I wasn't. I was orbiting the family, never in it. I used to tell myself I was the dependable one, the easy one, the one who didn't need much. Now I realize I was just the one who learned how to shrink. And still, I clung to one memory. 10 years old, cutting paper stars for my ceiling. Dad stopped to help tape them up, Mom brought in string lights. For a moment, it felt warm. Right. Proof they saw me, loved me. But looking back, I don't know. Maybe I filled in the blanks with what I wanted to believe. Maybe they were just bored. Maybe Roger wasn't home, and I was the backup. When I told them about the van, I thought, just maybe, they'd remember that moment. That they'd smile. Lend a hand. Instead, they called me an embarrassment, a mistake. And when Mom said, "Don't call yourself our daughter," some part of me, some little girl part, still waited for someone to say she didn't mean it. Nobody did. So here I am, in a van that smells like packing foam and stubborn hope, trying to unravel a family that only ever noticed me when it was convenient. The worst part of realizing you were never the favorite isn't even the unfairness. It's the loneliness. Every hug, every smile, every word of kindness, suddenly you don't know if any of it was real, or just a script to keep you useful, invested in someone else's climb. Sometimes, I still catch myself wishing they'll call. That they'll finally say, "We were wrong. We see you now." But mostly, I just want peace. A corner of the world that's mine. Not borrowed. Not conditional. Not sacrificed for someone else's future. That's what the van is. Not rebellion. Not a crisis. Just me, building something of my own. No explanations. No apologies. Mine. Even if it's just 4 wheels and a plywood bed frame, it's already more than they ever gave me. I didn't walk away from my family that night. They let me go. That's the part they'll never admit. The following Thursday started strangely calm, the kind of calm that makes you uneasy, like the eye of a storm, or that brief silence after submitting a project when you're convinced you forgot the attachment. I was halfway through scraping paint off the window frame in the van when someone knocked on the back door. I didn't need to check. Nobody else knocks like they're owed something. Roger. Button down, nice jacket, expression stuck between fake regret and smug charm. "Got a minute?" he asked. I should have said no. But I didn't. I stepped aside. He scanned the place like it was some exhibit. "Wow. You've been busy." I didn't answer. He gestured at the little bench I'd built from scrap wood and foam. "Mind if I sit?" I shrugged. He sat. I stayed standing. "I've been thinking about what Mom said," he started. "About disowning you." That was harsh. I raised an eyebrow. "Just that?" He sighed. It all got out of hand. "Look, I know I've asked for a lot over the years. But you've always been the one we could count on." Count. That word again. "I'm not here to ask for anything," he added quickly. I wanted to say you were right. About doing something for yourself. And this," he waved around at the van, "it's different, but it's smart. Rent-free. Minimalist. Cool, even." I didn't believe him. But God, I wanted to. So when he offered to help hang the second curtain rod, I let him. He even joked, "Like when we decorated your room that one time." I smiled. Against my better judgment. He stayed for about half an hour. Tightened bolts. Laughed. Suggested I post a van life video for his followers. When I checked the time, I said I had to leave for work. I could stay, he offered. "Finish that shelf you started. You've got the instructions right here." My gut twisted. But I wanted to believe. So I handed him the keys. "Lock up when you're done." He nodded like he meant it. When I came back, I knew something was wrong before I even stepped inside. The door was cracked open. Just enough to make the back of my neck prickle. Inside, chaos. The mattress slashed open, foam everywhere. The bench ripped out. Storage bins overturned, contents kicked across the floor. The curtain rod we hung together bent in half. And the smell, chemical, sour, clinging. I froze in the doorway, the reality seeping in slow and brutal. This wasn't an accident. I dialed his number. 4 rings. He answered, casual as ever. Hey, what's up? You were the last one in the van. A pause. Yeah, I locked up. Why? Roger. Everything's destroyed. Another pause. Then, laughter. Low. Sharp. Oh, that? I mean, come on, Carlina. You didn't actually believe I was okay with this charade, did you? You only told me what I needed to hear so I'd stay quiet, and for a moment, I couldn't even respond. He spoke like he was doing me a kindness. You should be grateful. I did you a favor. To him, my van wasn't independence, it was instability. My jaw tightened. He had destroyed my home, and he had the nerve to call it a publicity nightmare. In his eyes, I wasn't living, I was embarrassing the family. What happens if someone from my firm sees? Or one of Mom's clients? I shut my eyes, willing myself not to scream. He went on, I get it, you wanted to prove something. But this? This was humiliating. You should be thanking me for stepping in before you ruined yourself. Then he hung up. I stood there, phone pressed to my ear, half expecting it to apologize. It didn't. The only sound was the wind against the bent paneling, and my own shallow breathing. I don't remember cleaning. Just fragments, ripping trash bags, pulling out wet insulation, fighting back tears. When I found my web design textbook soaked through, I didn't bother calling my parents. What would be the point? Either they wouldn't believe me, or worse, they would, and still take his side. But then I remembered something Roger didn't know. Every night, I parked under the same streetlight by the old municipal building. That lot had a security camera. Not for safety really, but because I didn't trust chance. And suddenly, I realized, I had proof. Getting the footage wasn't difficult. I filled out a form, gave the clerk the exact timestamp, and waited 24 hours. There it was, grainy black and white video of Roger slipping inside my van, staying an hour, and walking out like he'd just dumped the trash. Except the trash was my life. I handed the tape to the police. The officer didn't say much, just scribbled notes as Roger kicked cabinets apart and stomped through my space. That's vandalism. Possibly criminal mischief, he said. Do you want to press charges? I blinked. Is not pressing charges even an option? He smirked. Some people hesitate when it's family. I stared at the screen, Roger crushing my string lights like they'd personally offended him. Family? He'd forfeited that title. The paperwork was filed. A case was opened. It didn't take long for the fallout. Within 48 hours, my phone lit up, 11 missed calls from Mom, followed by a text screaming, "Call me now." Family. All caps, like she was holding me hostage with guilt. By the 13th call, I answered. Her voice sliced through the line, "How could you do this to your brother?" I let out a laugh, hollow and bitter. He destroyed my home, I said. You live in a van, Carlina. Don't exaggerate. You're pressing charges? Do you know what this will do to his career? I know he's already on leave while they investigate. Actions have consequences. Isn't that what you two always preached? That didn't sit well. Dad called next, then Roger, leaving a 3-minute voicemail that was equal parts insult and victimhood. He accused me of setting him up, ruining his future over what he called a pile of wood on wheels. I didn't respond. Not to him. Not to anyone. Then the emails started. Long-lost relatives suddenly had opinions. One wrote, "Blood is thicker than justice." I almost laughed, almost framed it. 2 weeks later, we faced each other in court. Roger wore a suit worth more than my savings, refusing to glance my way. The judge barely needed time. The footage was damning. The damage clear. Roger was ordered to pay $118,750 in restitution. And because this wasn't his first meltdown, HR had covered up another incident. He was put on probation. A week later, my aunt whispered the fallout: his admission to grad school revoked. Active charges, probation, it was over. I didn't reply. Just stared at her message. The van was gone, but so was the future he'd gambled mine against. With restitution money, I bought another van, insulated, warm, with real cabinets. A mechanic who used to be a carpenter helped me rebuild something livable, something peaceful. By the time the seasons changed, I had finished my web design certificate. Landed a job with a small agency that only cared about Wi-Fi, not where I lived. I parked near a quiet field where wildflowers grew wild and morning spilled golden through the back window like an apology. I wasn't alone either. I found others, people in vans, in tiny houses, people who needed space. Around a fire, we shared cocoa and stories. I told mine without tears. I didn't need them. Sometimes, I still thought about my family. Around holidays. When a song my mom hummed played. When I almost texted Roger to ask how work was going. Now, 3 years later, I'm still in a van, but not for long. I've saved enough for a down payment on a small house. Nothing flashy, just mine. Something I never could have done if I'd stayed waiting for approval that was never coming. My parents don't call anymore. Not directly. I hear they tell people I went off the grid. Roger? He lost the condo, scraped by on contract work. Maybe he's trying again. I almost hope so. But we haven't spoken, and I don't think we ever will. That's how it went. Maybe I went too far. Maybe not far enough. You tell me. Leave a comment. And if stories like this resonate with you, hit subscribe.